What are some telltale signs of a pseudo-intellectual? I'd explain it if I thought you'd be able to understand. They like to debate but shut down and get angry the second they get an unexpected question or have to think about their answer. Thinking that watching a certain movie or listening to certain music automatically makes them smarter. Like if you were the director or you were in the band, fine, but all you did was press play. How you smart? Lacks self-awareness of their own biases. They use a lot of cromulent words whose definitions they really don't know. Wanting to argue, debate, etc. But without an openness to learn, and more importantly, without an openness to change one's views. We should want to know the truth. Fuck our own views and ideas. A pseudo-intellectual will have the answer to extremely nuanced multi-faceted problems. A genuine intellectual will admit that it's far too complex for them to give you an answer, or that no answer is a one-size-fits-all. Believing that subjective opinions are objective facts. Believing that dictionaries are prescriptive and not descriptive. Pseudo-intellectuals often overstate their level of intellect. Genuine intellectuals continually question their intellect and seek to improve it. They hyper-focus on a single source of wisdom or completely ignore their opponent's perspective. Actual intellectuals read broadly, and the best intellectuals read things they disagree with. Talking about read things they disagree with. There is a difference between reading the influential works of opposing movements and browsing social media cesspools. I am disappointed that I have to clutter this post by clarifying. If they get their worldviews from Reddit. Well, one sign of an imposter attempting to appear more erudite than they are in actuality is a prodigious use of preposterous lexical units. Particularly egregious offenders often use terms and phrases that ape sophistication and higher education without properly comprehending what the word means, exposing their crudite to the whole world. All evidence is fake, or extremely biased, unless of course it supports their view. Lots of unread books. Talks of spirituality but is just as vapid as everyone else. Never saying I don't know. Word salad, big words, lots of esoteric jargon, but poor sentence structure and grammar, etc. Skimming through these comments to see how many boxes you check. Overuse of buzzwords and inability to explain their ideas without them. They tell you their IQ. Or that they're in Mensa. Repeatedly. I'm more worried about pseudo-intellectuals. X200B. $intellectual. Error. You don't have permission to run intellectual. $pseudo-intellectual. Running. Being a contrarian. Taking the opposite stance on every goddamn little thing so they can hit you with their cockamamie logic and be needlessly argumentative. Actual intellectuals have two cats. Pseudo only have one. I only see one when I walked past a mirror. They honestly believe that everything can be explained by some simplistic generalization, and they often come up with ideas they think are very deep that supposedly explain very complex problems under the assumption that nobody ever thought of that before, when it's something that a million other morons have said before them and is just a dumb take. Disregard for serious scientific research based on their opinion and or untested discredited hypotheses. Additionally, referring to a scientific theory as just a theory. They talk more than they listen. They call watching YT videos research. Don't get me wrong, I've learned a lot from YT, but some dude pouring water on a spinning basketball ain't it, bro? Projection of intellectual insecurity. E.g. by calling you things like arrogant or pretentious when all you've done is state facts. Self-reporting their IQ. A bounteous number of sophisticated vocables to characterize and illuminate a hypothesis which does not necessitate such bewildering jargon, often convoluted with ill-placed phraseology fashionable in prevailing media. Ayn Rand is my favorite author. They are working on a perpetual motion machine. Posting in threads like this, acting like we can judge intellectualism. Wait, did I just? Or damn. Calling morons pseudo-intellectuals. Them being a walking thesaurus. They use unnecessary impressive words because they think that's how intellectuals talk. They expect you to take their bad faith arguments at face value because they think there's no possible way for you to see through them. Anyone who calls themselves a sapiosexual, and anyone a sapiosexual dates. Sapiosexual is an obnoxiously pretentious word that white women obsessed with giving themselves labels use to make intelligence is hot sound somehow not obvious and also incredibly cringe-worthy, while simultaneously, in practice it means that they're not at all attracted to intelligence, but rather men with an abundance of unearned confidence who are loudly and frequently wrong. Sapiosexual, you soak your panties for mansplainers. Straw man. Everything is a straw man to them. They can't win an argument under the strength of the argument, so surprise, now it involves some bullshit made-up scenario designed to help their logic triumph. Also, they're never wrong. Part of their delusion forces them to always be the smart, correct one. Repeating the political opinions of whatever late-night comedian they are watching. Basically, just a little bit of time with someone who acts like an intellectual is all you really need. A vast majority of people who act like intellectuals are pseudo-intellectuals. I don't really mind if somebody wants to be perceived as smarter than they really are, as long as they don't try to use their intelligence as an excuse to belittle people. Using false equivalences. Speaking in absolutes or spinning conventional wisdom beyond banal statements that are relative but broad enough to mean anything. Additionally, the use of mainstream scholars, mainstream academics. They believe that any opinion of theirs is a fact, and will try and debate everyone over it. The music they like is objectively the best. Their favorite food is objectively the best, and others are not as good even if they haven't tried it. If you don't enjoy their favorite piece of media, you are objectively stupid. They never admit when they're wrong. They make excuses as to why you misunderstood them about something you found they're wrong about. They like to correct you every chance they can. They like to be the center of attention, so they will try to meddle in whatever conversation you have with someone else, like, actually guys, it works this way. They have more opinions than accomplishments. Just watch about 15 seconds of Russell Brand to get a pretty good example of one. Listening to or being Jordan Peterson. People who are obsessed with credentialism but don't work in technical jobs. Whatever the most recent book they read or documentary they watched, they take on the subject as a temporary but critically important part of their personality. Until they move on to the next thing. Which usually doesn't take very long. Black and white POV. They refuse to accept new knowledge and to update or correct what they already know. Very strong opinions but little to no factual evidence or verified sources to back up their claims. They mention Schrodinger's cat. Lots of words come out their mouth but little has been said. Use weird jargon that only they really know, so that you have to ask them what X means. Someone who mentions they're an atheist then proceeds to talk about why they're an atheist. Same thing with antinatalism. Word salad. Cares more about being right than getting it right. This is going to sound real stupid, and I know there are other books in the world. Ask someone what Hogwarts house they'd be in. If they brag about it being Ravenclaw, that's a red flag. They confuse being a contrarian with intelligence. Pseudo-intellectuals always think they are right. They seek to impress, not inform. They make very wordy comments full of feigned eloquence and flashy misplaced hyphenated word usage. They pervade interminable aggregated chronotons of momentary in thesaurus utilization. A proclivity towards verbosity when a more quotidian usage would perfectly suffice. See Brian Griffin the dog from Family Guy. Every aspect of that character is red flags for pseudo-intellectualism. Saying dihydrogen monoxide instead of water, etc., etc. To be smart is to simplify, not to complicate. Me, I'm the telltale sign. Sounding anything like Jordan Peterson. Grandiloquent speech and words, but discourse lacking any substance. For example, Russell Brand. They trust the science. Those two words are mutually exclusive. Science is a process of making sure claims hold up to